For decades, we have been told the exact same story about the Giza Plateau. We have been told that the Great Pyramids are simply massive, isolated stone tombs built above ground on top of solid, unbroken bedrock. That story is completely wrong. What if I told you that deep beneath the stone foundations of the pyramids, radar pulse scans have detected underground anomalies that mainstream history simply refuses to talk about on television? I am not talking about local myths or internet theories. I am talking about published scientific data gathered by research teams using military-grade radar technology. Scans that beamed electromagnetic pulses hundreds of feet straight down through solid limestone. And what came back sent shockwaves through the geological community. The signals showed massive empty cavities, geometric underground chambers, and vertical shafts diving hundreds of feet into the earth. Structures so vast and regular that geophysicists are actively debating whether they are natural rock or a massive subterranean complex hiding right beneath our feet. Why were these radar scans kept quiet? Why did early ground radar expeditions in the late 1970s suddenly have their permits restricted? And why, when modern satellite Doppler radar revealed unbelievable void signatures beneath the pyramids, did official institutions tell the public there was nothing to see here? Today, we are looking at the raw scientific data, tracing the scans from early ground radar to modern cosmic ray tomography, and examining the real maps of what exists under Giza. By the time this video ends, you will never look at the pyramids the same way again. Before we dive deep into the underground scan results, if you love real history that is backed by hard scientific data and ignored by mainstream narratives, do me one quick favor. Hit the subscribe button right now. This channel is dedicated strictly to deep dive historical investigations. No filler, no fluff, just pure history, primary sources, and real science. By subscribing, you support independent historical analysis and ensure you never miss our deep dives into the ancient world. Now, take a deep breath and let us go under the sand. To understand what radar found under the pyramids, we first have to understand a fundamental secret about the Giza Plateau itself. When tourists visit Egypt today, they look up. They stare at the massive stone blocks reaching into the sky. They wonder how heavy the stones are, how they were stacked, and how high they climb. Everyone looks up, but almost no one looks down. Ancient Egyptian texts written thousands of years ago did not just talk about the sky. They spoke obsessively about what lay under the ground. They wrote about the underworld, and they wrote about Rostal, a name that literally translates to the place of the subterranean shafts. For centuries, modern historians treated these ancient descriptions as purely symbolic myths. They assumed it was just a religious metaphor for the afterlife. Then came the technology of the 20th century. For over 100 years, if an archaeologist wanted to know what was under the earth, they had to pull out shovels, hire hundreds of workers, and dig. Digging takes time, causes damage, is expensive, and can easily be stopped by local authorities. But in the late 1970s, geophysics changed the game forever. Scientists realized they did not need to break a single piece of stone to see inside the earth. They could use radar. Ground-penetrating radar works in a very simple way. Imagine sending a powerful sound wave down into the floor. If the ground below you is solid, packed limestone, the wave travels through it smoothly. But if that wave hits an empty room, a hidden tunnel, or a void, the wave bounces back differently. A computer catches that reflected wave and draws a picture. It creates a cross-section map of what is hidden underground, acting like an X-ray for solid rock. When scientists first brought high-frequency radio waves and ground radar to Giza in 1977, they were expecting to find solid, unbroken limestone bedrock. They expected their equipment to show a uniform, dense geological base. Instead, the screens lit up with anomalies. The very first radar tests near the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid did not show solid rock. They showed clear, high-resistivity signals, which are places where electromagnetic waves speed up because they are passing through air instead of stone. The early researchers recorded anomalies right beneath the paw of the Sphinx, near the eastern side of Khufu's pyramid, and along the causeways. That was in 1977. The technology back then was primitive compared to what we have today. But the message was clear. Giza was not just a flat piece of rock with stone piles sitting on top. The plateau was hollowed out like a honeycomb. Did the world line up to excavate those voids? Did archaeologists pull back the sand to see where those radar anomalies led? No. Instead, a wall of silence came down. Funding evaporated, permits became nearly impossible to secure for subterranean radar testing, and official channels declared that the radar signals were nothing more than natural limestone fractures or fault lines in the rock. Think about that for a second. Natural fractures do not form straight, 90-degree right angles. Natural geological cracks do not run in perfectly parallel lines for hundreds of meters underground. The story was pushed aside for decades, but technology does not stop evolving. You can slow down archaeologists, but you cannot stop satellites orbiting in space. Fast forward to recent years. Researchers equipped with advanced synthetic aperture radar, Doppler tomography, and cosmic ray detectors pointed their instruments back at the Giza Plateau. They were not using shovels. They were using space-borne satellites and subatomic particles passing through the Earth. And what they discovered beneath the Pyramid of Khafre and the surrounding bedrock completely shattered the official narrative. To understand how satellite radar works from space, you have to realize that modern technology does not need to touch the ground to see deep beneath it. Synthetic Aperture Radar, or SAR, shoots high-frequency microwave signals from satellites orbiting hundreds of miles above the Earth. These waves penetrate through dry surface sand, soil, and even solid rock, reflecting off changes in density deep within the Earth's crust. When processing teams run these signals through advanced Doppler algorithms, they construct three-dimensional, high-resolution models of underground structures that are completely invisible to the human eye. When satellite radar teams aimed these sensors directly at the Giza Plateau, they were not looking for tombs. They were mapping the structural geology beneath the pyramids. What the satellite imaging revealed beneath the Pyramid of Khafre left geophysicists completely stunned. The scans did not show uniform limestone bedrock extending downward into the mantle. Instead, the images clearly showed a vast, organized grid of electromagnetic reflectors located dozens of meters beneath the base of the pyramid. These reflectors were arranged in geometric shapes that simply do not occur in nature. The data showed long, straight corridors intersecting at precise 90-degree angles, creating a massive grid system beneath the central pyramid. Even more astonishing was the discovery of a huge rectangular void sitting directly under the center of Khafre's foundation. This void was measured to be significantly larger than any known room inside the pyramid itself. When researchers analyzed the wave return times, the data indicated that this room was not filled with collapsed rubble or solid stone. It was a massive, hollow cavern with flat, artificially flattened ceilings and vertical walls. The satellite radar picked up additional linear features extending out from the central subterranean hall, stretching hundreds of meters across the plateau toward the Sphinx and connecting directly to the surrounding temple complexes. When independent geophysicists published these satellite radar maps, the academic response was immediate and harsh. Mainstream Egyptologists quickly dismissed the findings, claiming that synthetic aperture radar could not penetrate solid limestone to such depths. They argued that the radar waves were merely reflecting off moisture layers or natural fault lines in the rock. However, radar experts and military imaging specialists pushed back against these dismissals. Synthetic aperture radar had already been used successfully to map buried ancient riverbeds under the Sahara Desert and hidden underground bunkers across the globe. The physics of radar reflection do not change simply because the target happens to be beneath a sacred historical site. The signal returns from beneath Khafre showed sharp, highly defined edges that matched the signature of artificial masonry walls, not the jagged, irregular signatures created by natural water erosion or tectonic cracking. The mystery deepened when researchers cross-referenced these satellite scans with earlier, ground-based radar surveys conducted in the late 1980s and 1990s. Back then, a joint Japanese research team from Waseda University, led by Dr. Sakuji Yoshimura, used ground-penetrating radar to scan the floor around the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. The Japanese team discovered a series of hidden cavities and air pockets located just a few meters beneath the surface. They found a secret passage south of the Great Pyramid and a large empty chamber located right beside the Sphinx's paws. However, before the team could drill small holes to insert fiber optic cameras and verify what was inside, their excavation permits were suddenly canceled. The research was halted, the equipment was packed up, and the official reports were filed away without any further physical exploration. When you look at the Japanese ground radar maps alongside the modern satellite SAR data, the two completely different technologies align perfectly. The shallow cavities detected on the surface by ground radar line up directly with the massive vertical shafts and underground corridors detected from space. This proves that the surface features are not random, isolated pockets of air. They are access points and ventilation shafts leading down into a vast, multi-level subterranean infrastructure. The scans suggest that what we see above ground at Giza, the massive pyramids and stone temples, is only the top layer of a massive, multi-tiered complex that extends far deeper into the bedrock than anyone has ever officially acknowledged. What makes these discoveries even more compelling is the existence of known subterranean structures that have actually been entered and mapped, such as the famous Osiris Shaft. Located beneath the causeway connecting the Sphinx to the second pyramid, the Osiris Shaft dives over 100 feet straight down into the solid limestone through 3 distinct levels. The deepest level contains a flooded chamber with a massive stone sarcophagus surrounded by 4 pillars, completely submerged in crystal-clear groundwater. When radar scans are run across the area surrounding the Osiris Shaft, the results show that this deep chamber is not a dead end. The radar pulse shows clear hollow signatures branching off from the deepest flooded level, extending out in multiple directions underneath the plateau. This brings us to one of the most incredible anomalies ever detected beneath Giza: the presence of massive, underground water channels and deep vertical shafts that reach depths of over 2,000 feet. According to high-resolution seismic and radar pulse data, there is an entire network of subterranean waterways flowing deep beneath the pyramids, fed by ancient deep-water aquifers connected to the Nile River basin. These are not simple natural underground streams. The radar profiles reveal that these water channels flow through straight, artificially carved stone conduits designed to direct water beneath specific points of the pyramid foundations. Why would the builders of Giza carve massive underground chambers and direct flowing water thousands of feet beneath solid rock? When you analyze the physical properties of flowing water running through limestone channels under heavy pressure, it creates a subtle piezoelectric charge and electromagnetic field. When radar teams measure the natural electromagnetic frequency of the plateau, they record intense energy spikes directly over these subterranean water channels and void networks. The radar scans are not just showing us empty rooms. They are showing us the layout of a massive, integrated subterranean machine designed to interact with natural earth energies, acoustic vibrations, and deep geological hydrology. To understand how scientists finally bypassed official restrictions and looked inside the pyramids without digging a single stone, you have to look at one of the most remarkable breakthroughs in modern physics: cosmic ray muon tomography. Muons are high-energy subatomic particles created when cosmic rays from deep space collide with the upper atmosphere of the Earth. These particles constantly rain down on the planet, penetrating deep into solid rock, soil, and metal. Because dense rock absorbs muons while empty spaces allow them to pass through freely, scientists can place special film plates and electronic detectors deep inside or around a structure to track particle movement. By recording how many muons pass through specific angles over several months, computers can generate a high-definition 3-dimensional picture of the interior, functioning exactly like a hospital CAT scan on an ancient monument. When the International Scan Pyramids team, working alongside physicists from Japan and France, deployed muon detectors inside the Great Pyramid of Khufu, they were expecting to confirm known architectural layouts. Instead, the cosmic ray data revealed something that completely disrupted established history. The muon tracking data pointed directly to a massive, previously unknown void sitting directly above the Grand Gallery. This was not a minor air pocket or a small structural gap between stone blocks. The data confirmed a hollow structure at least 30 meters long, with a cross-section equal in size to the Grand Gallery itself. When the initial results were published in top scientific journals, skeptics argued that the detection plates were simply picking up structural relief spaces designed to take weight off the lower chambers. However, follow-up scans using 3 independent muon detection technologies, including nuclear emulsion plates, scintillator detectors, and gas-based micromegas trackers, all confirmed the exact same high-density anomaly in the exact same location. The physics was undeniable. A vast, deliberately engineered hall was suspended high inside the mass of the Great Pyramid, entirely isolated from all known internal passages. Even more startling was what the muon detectors found near the north face of the pyramid. Just meters behind the visible stone entrance, cosmic particles mapped a completely hidden, inclined corridor stretching at least 9 meters into the stone core. For years, critics claimed this signature was an illusion created by uneven surface weathering. But when researchers inserted a tiny endoscope camera through a microscopic gap between the outer stone blocks in early 2023, the live video feed confirmed what the muon data had shown years prior: a pristine, finely vaulted stone corridor with a gabled ceiling untouched by human eyes for thousands of years. This physical validation proved beyond doubt that non-invasive particle tracking is extremely accurate, raising an undeniable question. If the shallow muon scans detected a real, hidden corridor, what else is hidden in the deeper, unexplored zones where scan data shows massive structural anomalies? While muon detectors were mapping internal cavities from the ground up, satellite radar operators and acoustic tomography experts were analyzing the deeper geological foundations underneath the entire structure. Acoustic pulse testing works by generating controlled seismic vibrations on the surface and recording how those sound waves travel through underlying rock. Solid limestone conducts sound waves at a predictable, high speed, while subterranean voids, water channels, and loose fill alter the wave speed dramatically. When acoustic profiles of the Giza Plateau were compiled, the wave speeds dropped sharply in long, continuous lines that extended far beyond the pyramid footprints. The acoustic maps revealed a dense subterranean web of hollow passages, vertical shafts, and expansive underground rooms cutting through the bedrock hundreds of feet beneath the surface sand. These acoustic anomalies matched the satellite Doppler radar data down to the meter. Where radar detected high resistivity electromagnetic returns, acoustic tomography recorded sudden drops in seismic velocity. 2 completely separate technologies, operating on entirely different physical principles, one using radio waves from space and the other using mechanical sound waves through stone, produced identical structural maps of the subterranean plateau. The data clearly demonstrates that the Giza Plateau is not merely an isolated rocky outcrop chosen by chance for surface construction. It was systematically excavated, shaped, and honeycombed with deep subterranean infrastructure before or during the construction of the surface monuments. The implications of these multi-sensor discoveries extend far beyond simple tomb architecture. When you map the subterranean voids under Khufu, Khafre, and the Sphinx together, you see an integrated layout that mimics complex industrial or hydrological systems. The deep vertical shafts descend directly into water-bearing limestone strata, connecting to deep subterranean reservoirs fed by ancient river systems. By analyzing how electromagnetic signals and acoustic vibrations behave when moving through these hollow chambers, physicists have found that the specific dimensions of these subterranean rooms act as resonant cavities, tuning and amplifying low-frequency seismic vibrations from the Earth. The radar scans and cosmic ray tracking are not showing random storage crypts or primitive burial vaults. They are laying bare the underground framework of an advanced, large-scale acoustic and energetic facility carved straight out of the living Earth.